Welcome back. Now, Steve, culture and art are intertwined, right? And I feel as your job as a curator, an art curator, like what do you look for to make sure that culture is represented and who gets like their spot in the curation?
I look for narrative, and I look for a narrative that's pushing forward the conversation, whether it be about Latinidad, whether it be about queerness, whether it's about our society and the way it functions. That's what I'm looking for, that story that pushes that boundary, whether it be with materiality or the painting. That's what drives me forward.
How do you find the culture of the art world when it comes to Latino artists and its support of Latino artists or lack of support?
I think it's interesting. There's two dynamics. There's the blue chip market, and then there's the emerging artist. And the two don't necessarily meld, but...
What's blue chip? Just tell us.
Blue chip is art that is being sold as commodities and assets, and then
like an art auction at Sotheby's.
Yes, like an art auction at Sotheby's. Okay. And then there's artists who are doing it as a career and because they love their work and they want to push the narrative forward. So that's like a difference there. Via support is important from the community. You know, like artist community is its number one support. And then I think everybody else follows from there. Because the more that somebody steps in and helps you, and then you make it to the next level, and then you show somewhere else, and somebody else sees it, it becomes like a fold.
Do you feel like the art that you have kind of chosen to showcase has evolved with everything that's going on right now?
Absolutely. It's at the forefront. The last curation that I did called Queering Digital was a response of trans, non-binary queer artists. And to Trump, we were specifically looking to answer the anti-trans legislation. And it was part of the title of the show. And everything that was part of the show was what is trying to be erased or not discussed as part of the narrative of American culture and where we stand as a community and the contributions that we make to art. So when they said no, we said, watch us.
To Victor's question, I've, in many forms of art, whether it's entertainment, television, your medium, there's always this constant conversation of whether or not art is innately political, whether or not it should be political. What is your view on that?
Yes, it should be. I think that good art, and back to that reel, it talks about how art is political, and that's what pushes art. When you can sit with it and be uncomfortable by it, because then it makes you think, and it makes you, think about what it's talking about.
Just to play a little bit of devil's advocate, what if we didn't want to make it political? What if we just wanted to appreciate art for its beauty, for its artistry?
Yes.
Is that something that can also fit nowadays? Like if you're curating a show, is it going to sell more tickets if it's political, or can it just be about the medium? Can it just be about the artists expressing their artistry in their own creative way?
Yeah, absolutely. Back to what you were saying about different, there's artists who make art about figures in film. There's artists who make about their experience with their family. There's artists that make political art. It's all a spectrum, and it's all valid,
But is it still going to sell?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah, and it sells to, absolutely. To your following and people, everybody has different tastes, right?
Yeah. I think, sorry, go ahead. No, I was just going to say, I'm of the belief that art is always innately political, whether the artist intends for it to be or not. Because what will remain the same is that each individual artist comes from a different story, a different background. You have someone who is creating art from the childhood of only having access to color pencils because that's all their parents could afford, and that's created their medium. And it whether they're making art that is specific to their upbringing and culture, because of how they learned art, it shows in their artwork.
Right.
Whereas, you might have someone else who was afforded private art instructors and had access to everything, and now their medium, whether they believe it does or not, reflects
Yes.
their economic class. It reflects the access that they had.
That kind of sets up my question beautifully, which is, do you notice that like in different regions of the world or different Latin countries, do you notice like a medium that each area uses more because they have more access to those materials?
What I've noticed recently, and it's an upcoming show that I have, Neo Chicano Recuerdos de mi Familia, it's how Mexican-American artists and Latino artists are taking influences from European-centered movements and use that now melded with indigenous, melded with American pop culture, and then created the new medium, which is what they're producing now, which is a subversion of all that, into beautiful colors, and they're creating a new narrative. So,
What would you say, can you explain just the difference between European art and something like indigenous art? Is it color? Is it?
No, I just think it's had different iterations, and we learn in history books and in art class the different movements. So then as we're going through art school, then we could take elements of each one and include that in new artwork. And I think that's what creates the new.
Is there an aspect of art within the Latino community that you wish the Latino community would either understand more or embrace more, or just, I don't know, view differently?
I think it's such a big part of our history. We have so much art in our blood, from our indigenous side to, I think understanding that it's all around us and appreciating it and supporting our friends. That's where I wish everybody would understand and do. Artists need our help and our support. And instead of buying from big box, we could buy from them.
Yes, thank you so much for being here with us, and we'll be right back after the break.